Hi, Scorpio. Welcome to Pandora Astrology's monthly horoscope for November 2019. It's your birthday month, and therefore the spotlight is on you. Not always the most comfortable thing for Scorpio, and Mercury is retrograde in your sign too. So I'll have a lot to say about that. But before I do, Julia has some things to say about love and action with Venus and Mars. What do you say, Julia?
I sure do, Jamie. Well, hey, Scorpio. First, I'm going to talk about Venus, which is the planet of art, beauty, relationships, also pleasure. And she's going to be on the very first day of the month entering Sagittarius, which correlates with your natal second house. And the second house, it's the house of values, but also possessions and also earning money. It's kind of like your paycheck. So when Venus enters the second house, it's a really, really great time to buy luxury items. If you're thinking of being a little bit spendy, wherever Venus is where we find our pleasure that month. So, whatever you do end up buying might actually be a good investment in the long run instead of just kind of buying some high luxury item during a Venus retrograde or something. So go for it. And then after November 25th, or on November 25th, when Venus enters Capricorn, that means she's going to be going into your natal third house. And that is the house of communication of all kinds. It also represents our neighborhood, our neighbors, and our siblings. So we might feel like socializing a bit more if you have some siblings, spending time with them or people around your neighborhood. And what I really, really like about Venus in the third house, since the third house does deal with communication, is that she kind of adds a little extra grace and a little extra, poetry to our communications with others. And if there are any things that you have to smooth out, or if you need to negotiate something with somebody, that'll be a really great time to do it. And then the next planet I'd like to talk about is Mars. It's going to begin in Libra as the month rolls out, and that correlates with your natal 12th house. 12th house is definitely the most hidden house in the zodiac. And Mars, which is our activity, our drive, when it goes into the 12th house, also a very secluded house too, because it rules places of seclusion of all kinds. Ashrams, monasteries, prisons, asylums, places that we have to kind of leave society to spend time in. So you could be doing your best work on your own this month, kind of privately. Also, since Mars can express our anger, there is some potential for being a little extra passive aggressive, or maybe acting behind people's backs. So don't let that sort of come around to bite you where you don't want it to later. And then Mars is going to be entering Scorpio on November 18th, which correlates with your natal first house. And that is the house of self. So you're going to be embodying that Mars energy really, really strongly after that day. What that means is that you might be a little bit extra energized in your own personal self-expression, because wherever we have Mars is where we apply our energy. You could be also a little extra feisty too, even though you usually keep a bit of a poker face because you're Scorpio. You might be more inclined to kind of know what your rights are and sort of stand up for it, and not take any bull from anybody after that time. Yeah. So what else is going on this month, Jamie? What else are you seeing?
I was just thinking that Mars loves to be in Scorpio. That's a traditional sign of rulership for Mars. And I would think, don't you think that would bring the Scorpios of the world a lot of vitality and energy and fortitude and powers of concentration?
Oh yeah. No, it's definitely like, because the first house is an ascendant. It's literally your physical vehicle in this world. Yeah, you could be definitely getting a boost.
Yeah, I would think like if you have to power through some health concern, that would give you what you need. Okay, so what have I got for you today, Scorpio? Well, we've got this Mercury thing going on, and um, it's in Scorpio all month, and it began on October 31st. You may know that Mercury retrograde is a time when things get tangled up. Mercury is the god of communication and thinking and organizing. So Mercury rules offices, and offices can get into quite a tangle. There can be equipment that breaks down. There can be messages get lost. There can be communications that just aren't heard or spoken in the right way. They don't land. And that can lead to a lot of upsets, especially when it's in the sign of Scorpio, there can be a lot of emotional charge attached to it. This is really, I have to say, with Mercury spending all this time in your first house, Scorpio, this is a great time for finding your voice. And if that involves, some coughing forth of rusty water from this pipe that hasn't been used in very long, that's just the price of admission, I would think. um this is a sign that really benefits from catharsis. Scorpio is a sign that is volcanic in its nature. Energies gather. You don't even know that they're gathering until you start to feel the rumbling, and by then it's too late to escape the lava flow. And that can sometimes mean that you hold things back until they poison your system. And it's so important to just, clean that. This is a dreadful analogy, but clean that volcano out every once in a while. I'm imagining a chimney sweep. and and this is really the month to do it. So this is the month to ask yourself, what are the things that I haven't said that I really need to say, and how can I express them in a way that's gracious and graceful, and how can I sever the ties that I need to in a good and loving way? How can I not burn the bridges that I really shouldn't burn, and speak my truth all the while? And that's really what you're studying into this month, Scorpio. Epiphany Day brings some real help with that. Epiphany Day is what I call it, when Mercury traveling backward meets the sun traveling forward in a burst of insight and aha. So if you've been knocking your head against a thorny problem, trying to solve a difficult puzzle, Epiphany Day is often the day when clarity descends on your head. That will be on November 11th, and it's going to coincide with a lunation that I think is pretty important, which is happening on the 12th. The full moon in Taurus, which is happening in your seventh house, opposite to that Mercury Sun combination happening in your first house. And I think that lunations, full moons in particular, are often loaded with emotion, as this Mercury retrograde period is. But this moon being in Taurus, where the moon loves to be, there's a quality of stability. And so I think that this could be the time. And the moon is happening on the 12th, but we'll feel it from the 11th to the 13th. And these could be days when, just to get a little break from all of the emotional and communicative storm that may be swirling around your head this month, Scorpio, you might take refuge in your friendly neighborhood earth sign. Somebody who can help you get grounded, see what's practical, see what's real. Just put aside some of the emotion, but also make you feel soothed. This could be a really good time for those kinds of conversations right here around this full moon. As the month goes on, Mercury does go direct on the 20th, right about here. And but we're not out of the woods yet. It does start to get easier right away, but things don't really get back to the normal sort of everyday pace until about another week has passed. So by the end of November, as we're moving into December, I think it's fine to be setting goals and making plans and expecting that messages will work and software will work and the internet will work and so forth. But maybe not until then. Now, the last thing that's happening this month is a new moon in Sagittarius, right here in your second house. And that's on November 26th, though we'll feel it from the 25th to the 27th. And this moon shares a characteristic with the full moon, which is that both of the moons this month, by great good fortune for us all, are loaded with harmony. There are only harmonious aspects to these moons, very little stress. So I think that goes a long way to ease the discomfort of Mercury retrograde and the difficulty of taking emotions, which are such complex, nuanced things, trying to put them into the chunky little boxes we call words. But I think these moons are softening the blow quite a bit. The new moon in particular has a wonderful, expansive, and playful feel about it. Now, Julia talked about this house being associated with purchases, with possessions, with money that your own money and how you manage it, and all of that is true. And I think that this Sagittarian moon is a great opportunity for planting new seeds of money management, of sensible living, sensible eating, and feeling really, really hopeful about the future of that stuff. If you were thinking about a reading this month, Scorpio, I would say you really couldn't do better than get a birthday reading. It is your birthday month after all. And that's really a time when you should take a look at the year ahead. Get yourself into the driver's seat by knowing what's coming and aligning your intentions with the intentions of your greater will, as shown in your solar return birthday chart. It's a great way to feel empowered as the year goes forward. And a lot of interesting stuff is coming in 2020. You might want to know about it. Goodness, I think that's all we have for you today, Scorpio. I hope you enjoyed it. You can always find our horoscopes on our website at pandoraastrology.com/horoscope. There's also a monthly hyphen forecast that you can find there that's got the news of the month always. And on our YouTube channel, Pandora Astrology, you can generally find the news videos in a playlist and the horoscopes in their own playlist too. And we'll see you around the cosmos. Bye.
Bye.